This is Still Sleep Stories.
The slow road through the sleeping landscape. The day was already leaning toward night when the quiet journey began, not with a dramatic moment or a sudden decision, but with something softer, something almost unnoticeable, like the gentle shift of light when the sun lowers and everything becomes slower without anyone needing to command it. At the edge of a small village, where the last houses stood with their gardens and low fences, a narrow path waited in plain sight, simple and steady, as if it had always been there and always would be there, patient enough to be ignored and calm enough to be trusted. The village itself was peaceful in a way that felt familiar, like a place that knew how to rest at the end of the day. The windows of the houses held warm light behind curtains, and the streets had only the quietest movement. A slow walk here, a gentle closing of a gate there. Nothing that made sharp sounds, nothing that demanded attention. There were no loud voices, no rushing footsteps, no urgent errands. Even the air seemed to soften as it moved between the houses, carrying faint scents of clean wood, garden soil, and the last warmth of sun held in stone walls and roof tiles. Near one of the houses, a small porch light flickered on and then steadied, a quiet decision made by someone inside. Farther down, a bicycle leaned against a fence, its tires touching the ground lightly, as if it had been placed there with care and not forgotten. The sky above the village was still a gentle blue, but deeper than it had been earlier. The bright light of afternoon had faded. The air had cooled to a comfortable temperature, neither cold nor warm, the kind of cool that makes breathing feel easy and smooth. At the very edge of the village, the path began. It was not a wide road. It was not made for speed. It was made for steady steps in unhurried time. Its surface was soft earth, pressed down by countless walks, and bordered by grass that bent slightly inward, as if it knew the path belonged there. Stepping onto it felt natural. The body understood it without thinking. The feet found the right pace on their own, a pace that matched the evening, slow enough to be calm, steady enough to feel purposeful, even without a destination. With each step away from the village, the gentle sounds of village life began to fade. Not suddenly, but gradually, like a song growing quieter as the door closes. The warm lights became fewer behind, and the open land ahead began to feel wider and freer. The path led forward with an easy curve, guiding without forcing, like a quiet suggestion. The grass on either side moved in the breeze, and the breeze itself was soft, not strong enough to chill, just strong enough to remind everything that the day was changing. Breathing became slower, without effort. Inhaling felt smooth. Exhaling felt long and comfortable, as if the lungs were happy to let go of the day. The shoulders loosened, the jaw unclenched, and the face rested into a calmer shape without needing to be told. The evening held the world gently, and the path accepted each step as if it was exactly the right time for a gentle journey to begin. Beyond the last houses, the land opened into wide fields. The fields were not perfectly flat, but gently rolling, like waves that had decided to be still. Tall grasses grew in clusters, and here and there small patches of wild flowers remained, their colors muted now in the fading light. The path threaded through these fields in a calm line, sometimes straight, sometimes curving slightly, as if it was following something invisible and natural in the shape of the land. The air carried a clean scent, the scent of open space, and the soft, earthy smell of plants cooling down after sunlight. It was the kind of air that made the mind feel lighter, as if thoughts had more room to drift and less reason to press in. A few birds moved quietly across the sky, small silhouettes against the deepening blue, heading toward wherever birds go when night comes gently. Their movement was smooth and steady, and their calls were faint, not sharp, not urgent, more like quiet messages carried on the breeze. The grasses along the path moved in slow waves. They leaned, they returned, and they leaned again, repeating their motion in a soothing rhythm. Watching them required no focus, and yet it felt pleasant to notice them, like noticing the steady ticking of a clock that helps the world feel steady. The path felt soft underfoot, not muddy, not dry, just firm enough to be reliable. Each step landed with a quiet sound that disappeared immediately into the open air. As the walk continued, the sky grew darker in the most gentle way, and stars began to appear. At first there were only a few, faint and shy, but then more followed, and soon the upper part of the sky was scattered with small points of light. The stars did not shine brightly like streetlights. They did not demand attention. They simply existed, calm and steady, and somehow their quiet presence made everything feel more peaceful. Time felt slower here, not stretched in a strange way, but simply less measured. There was no schedule, no need to hurry, no reason to think about what came next. The only thing that mattered was the steady act of walking and the quiet feeling of being carried forward by the path. In the distance, the outline of trees formed a dark band against the sky. They looked like a quiet border between the open fields and something more sheltered beyond. The path seemed to be heading that way. As the fields continued, a faint sound joined the gentle movement of the grass. It was so soft at first that it could have been the wind, but it had a steady, continuous quality that did not change. It was the sound of water, far away, moving calmly and endlessly, like a quiet heartbeat of the landscape. The path kept going, and the sound grew clearer, still gentle, still steady. The mind began to settle into that sound without effort, the way it settles into the sound of rain or distant waves, letting it become part of the background of rest. The path led slightly downward, and as it did, the air changed in a subtle way. It became cooler, but not colder, and it carried a faint hint of dampness, the kind that comes from water nearby. The sound of the river grew more present. And then, without drama, the river appeared. It was not a wide river, not wild or loud. It flowed calmly in a gentle curve, its surface reflecting the deepening sky. The water moved in a steady way, creating small ripples that caught the starlight and stretched it into faint, trembling lines. The riverbank was lined with smooth stones and patches of grass. Reeds grew near the edges, their thin shapes standing still in the evening air. A few low trees leaned slightly toward the water, their leaves forming soft shadows. Near the river, a small wooden bridge crossed from one side to the other. It looked old enough to be familiar, but strong enough to be trusted. The wood was worn smooth by time and by many footsteps. The bridge did not look like a decoration. It looked like a quiet tool made for gentle crossings. Walking onto the bridge felt calm. The wood gave a faint sound underfoot, not creaking loudly, just softly responding. Standing in the middle of the bridge, looking down at the water, felt like a natural pause. The river moved below with a steady patience. Watching it did not bring questions. It brought a quiet kind of comfort, the comfort of something that continues calmly without needing attention. Breathing slowed again. The sound of the water and the steady feel of the bridge created a quiet rhythm. Inhale, exhale, slow, easy. After a moment, the walk continued across the bridge. On the other side, the path resumed, still soft, still steady, now running closer to the river. For a while, the path stayed right alongside the water, giving clear views of the flowing surface. Then it drifted behind reeds and low trees, where the river could not be seen but could still be heard. The sound became a soft guide, a steady reminder that the water was there, moving calmly even when hidden. The path and the river traveled together like companions, each following the gentle curves of the land. The night grew deeper, but not heavy. It felt warm in its own way, like a blanket of quiet. The path now had a different feeling. The river's presence softened the world. The air near the water felt smooth, and the faint dampness made the breath feel cool and fresh. Along the way, the river widened slightly in places and narrowed in others, but always moved with the same steady pace. Small ripples formed and disappeared. The surface reflected stars and then let them drift away. The path itself was easy to follow. It never became steep or rough. It did not twist sharply. It seemed to understand that this was not a journey for struggle, but a journey for calm movement. The trees along the river were sparse at first, but slowly, as the path continued, they became more frequent. Their branches reached overhead, creating a soft canopy in places. The sky could still be seen through gaps, where stars peeked between leaves. Sometimes the path moved close to the water's edge, and the gentle sound of small waves against stones became clearer. Other times it drifted farther, and the river's sound became quieter, like a lullaby heard from another room. The walk continued at an unhurried pace. The body felt lighter. The mind felt quieter. Thoughts came and went without asking to be followed. In the distance, a faint light appeared, not bright, but warm, like a lantern or a window far away. It was not a destination, just a sign that somewhere ahead there might be another place of quiet shelter. The river bent gently, and the path bent with it. The night air was still. The breeze had faded, and everything seemed to hold its position peacefully. A small stone lay on the path, smooth and pale in the starlight. Stepping around it was easy. It did not interrupt the calm. It was simply part of the path, like everything else. The sound of the river remained constant, even when it changed slightly in volume. It was the kind of sound that encourages the mind to loosen its grip on details. It was steady enough to trust, gentle enough to ignore. Breathing remained slow. Each inhale came with cool air. Each exhale left the body feeling a little softer. The shoulders relaxed even more. The hands rested loosely by the sides. The path continued, and the quiet journey continued with it. After a long while, the path moved into a small grove of trees where the river widened into a calmer stretch. The water here moved more slowly, and the surface looked smoother, with fewer ripples. The ground near the path was covered in soft leaves and patches of grass. The trees stood quietly, their trunks dark and steady. The air felt sheltered, as if the grove was holding the night gently within its boundaries. Here, the path widened slightly, creating a small space that felt like a resting place. A few flat stones lay near the edge, arranged in a natural way, like seats created by time. Stopping here felt natural. There was no need to continue right away. The body could pause without losing the sense of movement. The pause was part of the journey, like a calm breath taken between steps. Sitting on one of the flat stones, the river could be heard clearly. It moved slowly now, and the sound was softer, more like a quiet whisper than a steady stream. The water reflected the sky with a gentle shimmer. The trees overhead held the night like a soft roof. The leaves barely moved, and the gaps between branches revealed small clusters of stars. In the grove, the air felt still and calm. It was the kind of stillness that does not feel empty. It feels full of quiet presence. The body could rest in it easily. Breathing became deeper. The chest rose slowly. The chest fell slowly. The rhythm felt steady and safe, like the river itself. After a while, when the body felt ready, standing up again felt easy. The legs moved without stiffness. The path waited, ready to continue the gentle journey. The walk resumed. The grove slowly fell behind, and the path returned to its steady line along the river. Not far ahead, the warm light seen earlier became clearer. It came from a small village resting near the riverbank. This village was smaller than the first one, with fewer houses and fewer lights, as if it preferred to remain quiet and unnoticed. The houses were low and simple, with gardens and stone walls. A few windows glowed with soft light behind curtains. The streets were empty. The village seemed to be sleeping already, or at least resting deeply. The path did not lead directly into the village. It passed alongside it, close enough to feel its presence, but far enough to remain quiet. A small wooden fence bordered one of the gardens, and behind it, a tree stood with its branches still. The air here carried faint scents of cooked food and clean laundry, gentle reminders of comfort. A cat lay curled on a low wall, its body a small, calm shape in the night. It looked content, the kind of contentment that comes from being safe and warm. It lifted its head briefly, then settled again, uninterested in anything beyond rest. The path continued past the village, and the warm lights slowly faded behind. The river remained nearby, and the open land began again. The night felt deeper now, but still gentle. The sky was dark, and stars were steady. The air was cool and smooth, Walking continued with the same calm pace. Each step felt like part of a slow, comforting rhythm. Beyond the village, the path changed slightly. It became a little wider, and in places it was lined with small lanterns set low to the ground. The lanterns were not bright. They gave a soft glow, enough to mark the path without lighting up the whole night. The lantern light created small pools of warmth on the ground. Walking through them felt like stepping through calm moments of comfort. Light, darkness, light, darkness, repeating gently. The river was now farther away, but its sound remained faint and steady. It blended into the quiet of the night. The land here was flatter, and the path felt almost like a quiet road. It did not feel lonely. It felt peaceful, like a place meant for slow travel. The lanterns continued for a long while, appearing at steady intervals. They created a rhythm that matched breathing. Each glow arrived and then passed, and then another arrived without any need to hurry. The night air was still. The breeze had completely faded, leaving everything quiet. Even the grasses beside the path moved only slightly. Walking felt like drifting. The body moved, but the mind rested. The senses were calm. The eyes saw the lanterns. The ears heard faint water. The skin felt cool air. The breath moved slowly. Time became softer and softer, like a blanket settling. After a long stretch, the path began to slope gently upward. It was not steep. It was the kind of incline that feels like a quiet invitation rather than a challenge. The lanterns became fewer, and the path returned to earth and grass. The sound of the river faded even more, replaced by a deeper silence. At the top of the small hill, the land opened again, and a wide view appeared. Below, the river could be seen in the distance, a faint silver line in the moonlight. The villages behind were now only small clusters of warm dots. The sky above was wide and clear. Stars were scattered gently across it. The moon, if visible, was not harsh. It gave a soft light that made shadows gentle rather than sharp. Standing here felt peaceful. The body could pause again. The mind could rest in the wide open view. Breathing was slow and deep. The air felt clean and cool. It carried no strong scent, only the faint smell of grass and night. From this hill, the path could be seen continuing forward, curving gently downward into a valley beyond. The valley looked calm, quiet, and sheltered. After a moment, Walking resumed. The path led down into the valley, and the journey continued. The valley felt different from the open fields. It felt sheltered. The air was slightly warmer, and the ground felt softer. Here, the path ran through low grass and small shrubs. The night sounds were very faint. There was no loud calling, no sudden movement, only the quiet presence of the valley itself. A small stream crossed the path at one point, not wide, not fast, just a trickle of water moving over stones. Stepping over it was easy. The sound of it was gentle, like a small whisper. Farther along, the stream ran beside the path for a while, then disappeared behind bushes. Its sound remained for a few moments, then faded. In the valley, time felt even slower. The body moved with the same gentle pace, but the mind began to soften more, as if it was sinking into the calm. The path remained clear, guiding the way without effort. The air was still. The grass barely moved. Breathing remained steady, and each breath felt like it carried calm into the body and carried tension out. The valley continued, and the path continued, and everything felt quiet, safe, and unhurried. In the distance, a single warm light appeared again. Not a village this time, but one house. It stood alone near the valley's edge, surrounded by trees. The house looked simple and quiet. A window glowed with warm light, and the light spilled softly onto the ground outside. The path led near the house, not directly to the door, but close enough to feel its warmth. The house felt like a place where someone rested peacefully, where the night was welcome. Near the house, a small bench stood under a tree. The bench looked old, its wood smooth. Sitting there would feel comfortable. Stopping here felt natural. The bench invited rest. The warm window light created a gentle glow, and the night air felt safe. Sitting on the bench, the body could relax even more. The shoulders could sink. The hands could rest. The legs could be still. The warm light did not flicker. It stayed steady, like a calm heart. The trees around the house were quiet. Their leaves barely moved. The air was still. Breathing became deeper and slower. Each breath felt like it was carrying the warmth of the light into the body. After a long moment, standing up again was easy. The path continued beyond the house, and the journey could continue, but now even more slowly, even more softly. Beyond the house, the path became a little wider again, like a quiet road. It ran through the valley, then gradually climbed out of it into open land again. The sky remained wide and calm. Stars were steady. The moonlight was soft. The road was smooth and walking felt effortless. The body moved as if it was being carried by the gentle rhythm of the journey. The land on either side was quiet. Fields stretched out, darker now, their shapes softened by night. Trees stood in small groups, their outlines gentle. In the distance, a faint owl call could be heard once, then silence again. It did not feel startling. It felt like part of the night's quiet conversation. The road continued, and the mind continued to soften. Thoughts appeared less often now, and when they did, they were faint and quiet. Breathing remained steady. The chest rose slowly. The chest fell slowly. The rhythm was like waves, gentle and repetitive. The journey did not need to end. It could continue as long as it needed, because it was not about reaching a place. It was about staying in motion while the mind rested. After a long time, the road passed near a small garden, not attached to a house, but standing alone like a quiet patch of care in the open land. The garden was enclosed by a low stone wall. Inside, flowers grew, their shapes visible in the moonlight, their colors muted but still present. Some of them released a faint scent, soft and sweet, carried gently by the air. The garden felt peaceful. It was not a place for activity. It was a place for quiet beauty, seen in the simplest way. Walking past it felt calm. The stones of the wall held the day's warmth, and the air near them felt slightly warmer. The scent of the flowers was gentle, not strong enough to be distracting, just enough to feel comforting. It reminded the body that the world could be soft. The road continued beyond the garden, and the scent faded behind. The journey continued into deeper night. As the road continued, the sound of water returned, faint at first, then clearer. Another river, or perhaps the same river looping back, appeared in the distance. This stretch of water was wider and calmer than before. Its surface was smooth, reflecting the sky like a quiet mirror. The water moved slowly, almost lazily, as if it had no need to hurry. The road approached the river and ran alongside it. The sound of the water was soft, steady, and soothing. Walking beside the river again felt like returning to a familiar comfort. The mind recognized the sound and relaxed further. The river's presence softened everything. The air near it was cool and smooth. The reflections on the surface were gentle and calming. The road and the river moved together again, traveling calmly through the night. Soon a second bridge appeared, broader than the first, with a low railing. The bridge crossed to a small island in the middle of the river, an island covered in grass and a few trees. Crossing the bridge felt calm. The railing was cool under the hand if touched, steady and safe. On the island, the grass was soft and the trees were still. The island felt like a quiet resting place held by water on all sides. Standing there, the river could be heard from every direction, its sound surrounding gently, like a blanket of calm. The island had no buildings, no paths, just a quiet open space. It was a place made for stillness. Stopping there felt natural again. Sitting on the grass felt easy. The ground was cool and supportive. Breathing became even slower. The river's sound encouraged the body to relax. The sky above the island was clear and wide, stars reflected in the water, and the reflections moved slowly with the current. Time felt soft. The island felt safe. The world felt quiet. After a long moment, standing up again was possible, but not necessary. The journey could continue, but it did not need to hurry. Eventually, the slow road resumed, leaving the island behind, crossing the bridge again to the far bank. Farther along, the road approached a small market square, empty now, but with signs that it had been used during the day. Wooden stalls stood folded up, their cloth coverings tied down. The square was quiet, lit by a few lanterns that cast a warm glow. The market did not feel abandoned. It felt resting, like a place that had done its work and was now quiet. Walking through the square felt gentle. The stones underfoot were smooth and cool. The lantern light created soft shadows. There were no voices, no music, no movement. Only the quiet presence of the place. Leaving the market square, the road continued, and the lanterns grew fewer again. The open night returned. The road eventually led toward a forest. Not a dark, frightening forest, but a calm one, where trees stood close together, creating shelter. Entering the forest felt like stepping into a quieter room. The air was still. The sounds outside became muffled. The temperature felt slightly cooler, but comfortable. The road inside the forest was soft, covered in fallen leaves and pine needles. Each step made a faint sound, quiet and gentle. The trees stood tall, their trunks dark, their branches forming a canopy that hid part of the sky. But the forest was not too dark. Moonlight filtered through leaves, creating soft patterns on the ground. Walking in the forest felt calming. The body moved more slowly, naturally adjusting to the quieter space. The mind softened even more. The forest stillness seemed to encourage thoughts to fade. Breathing remained steady. The air smelled of wood and earth, clean and grounding. The road continued through the forest, curving gently, never becoming confusing. It guided the way like a calm hand. After a long walk through trees, the road opened into a clearing. In the center of the clearing, a small pond rested, still and dark. The pond's surface was almost perfectly smooth, reflecting the stars above. The reflection was steady, like the pond was holding the sky gently. Near the pond, the grass was soft, and a few stones formed a natural edge. Sitting there would be comfortable. Stopping by the pond felt natural. The stillness was deep here. No wind moved the surface. No leaves rustled. The pond did not make sound like a river. It was quieter. Its calm was complete. Breathing slowed. The body relaxed. The mind quieted. Looking at the pond's reflection required no focus. It was enough to simply notice it, to let it exist. The clearing felt safe. The forest around it was quiet. The stars above were steady. After a long moment, the road continued beyond the pond, leading out of the clearing and back into trees. As the journey continued, the road gradually changed back into a narrower path. The ground became softer, and the steps became lighter. The forest thinned slowly, and the land opened into a wide meadow again. The meadow was quiet and still. The grass dark in the moonlight. The path ran through the meadow, and the sky above was wide and calm. The stars seemed closer now, not brighter. just nearer. Walking in the open meadow felt easy. The air was cool and smooth. Breathing felt deep and comfortable. The path did not feel like it was leading somewhere specific. It felt like it was simply continuing, offering gentle movement for as long as needed. The mind was quiet now. Thoughts were rare. The body felt heavy in a comfortable way, like it was ready to rest. The path continued for a long time, and the pace became slower, not because of effort, but because the world itself felt slower. Each step was gentle. Each breath was deep. The body felt calm and supported. The night air remained still. The grass moved only slightly. The sky remained steady. The sound of water was far away now, barely noticeable, but the memory of it remained like a quiet comfort. The path continued, and the journey became less about moving and more about drifting. The body moved, but the mind rested deeply. The shoulders sank, the hands relaxed, the face softened. Breathing was slow and even, in and out, smooth, calm. There was no need to reach anything, no need to finish. The journey had already done what it needed to do. The path began to blur in the night, not in a strange way, but in a soft way, like the edges of a dream. The meadow around it was quiet and safe. The sky above was wide and calm. The stars remained steady. Breathing continued, slow, deep, comfortable. The body felt heavy and warm, even in the cool air, as if rest itself had become a blanket. The mind was quiet. Thoughts were distant. Everything felt soft. And the gentle journey continued, not forward into the distance, not backward into the past, but inward into stillness, where everything was calm and nothing needed to happen, and rest arrived naturally, slowly and quietly, like night settling over the world